So they take me to the back to get hooked up to an IV for the procedure, and hours pass with absolutely no word from the nurses.
Nice.
And let me tell you something about IVs. They're freaking cold. Not something you want to be hooked up to for hours on end. And get this, the nurse who initially stuck me with the needle actually broke the metal tip in my arm while searching for a vein. Ugh. So anyway, I'm freezing to death and alone for hours in this seemingly abandoned urinary hospital with a constant flow of ice water in my veins. So I inevitably have to go to the bathroom. And there wasn't a soul around, so I had to stumble along through the halls dragging my IV with me until I found one. And just try to imagine what the unisex bathrooms look like in a urinary hospital.
Oh god.
There was piss absolutely everywhere! Except the toilet. Like, it was on the walls, in the sink, the little trash can, the soap dispenser! So I'm trying to piss in a bucket while my numb fingers feel like icy forceps on my little friend downstairs, and at least I had a bit more luck than the average Joe who was trapped in this place at hitting my target. And eventually I made my way back and met up with the anesthesiologist. They signed some papers for a second and piss right off. Another hour later, I am finally wheeled back into the room where I met a completely different person claiming to be my anesthesiologist. And the last words I hear before getting gassed out by this senile dinosaur are,
"Hello, Alex. I'm your anesthesiologist. I need you to take deep breaths and count backwards from 10.
And all I'm thinking is, oh my god, I'm gonna die with a camera in my pee hole!
Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. This isn't nearly as good as the first game.
Now luckily I don't get too nauseous with anesthetics, cause the next thing I knew I was being jerked upright and twisted around by a nurse, who then threw a bag on me with my clothes telling me I gotta hurry and leave to make room for the next patient, cause apparently they were a little behind.
Why did it take Nintendo 10 years to realize they should have just called this game 2?
So I fumble upward and sloppily yank my clothes back on, just seconds from coming to, and get pushed, and I mean pushed, out the hallway and towards the door in the back, opening out into the street where my ride was waiting for me. They opened the car door and I collapse on the back seat face first, still half asleep. I somehow managed to tuck in my feet and shut the door behind me so we could go.
I don't even see how a Switch remaster can turn this into a passable sequel. This game's a mess. Oh, where do I even start?
Now that drugged up car ride was something else.
Just like Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, this game is disjointedly sectioned into dozens of short mission-based levels instead of actually allowing players to openly explore the Metroid-style mansion, defeating bosses and unlocking the path forward themselves.
The voices in my head were telling me strange things like macarons or tiny alien spaceships disguising as desserts. Tobey Maguire was actually the best Spider-Man, and most importantly, it feels like there's a drill bit shoved in my pee hole!
The original game was a super creative experiment with an engaging world full of expressive, unique, and fun boss and enemy encounters, but not a single one of this game's plastic, generic, haunted house encounters felt anywhere near as endearing.
Time is a Fruit Loop and we are all the milk. It's like I ripped off my pants for a dramatic effect, but I forgot I wasn't wearing any underwear!
Mechanically, all that's changed, aside from the sanding down to the game's personality and segmenting every 10 steps into immersion-breaking missions, is the strobe bulb. Ghosts no longer get stunned by your flashlight, so now you've gotta charge a strobe before blinding them and sucking them up. Why'd they change this? That's a good question.
Frisbee balls and noodle flakes. Can somebody explain to me why I feel like I just left the castration station and why there's spaghetti on my voicemail?
Also, whose bright idea was it to incorporate awkward motion controls for aiming absolutely everything with no way to turn it off?
The sirens in my brain never stop blaring, so I'm living it up in Hotel Castlevania, photoshopping Gordon Ramsay's face on ducks.
I guess I'm just on my own today.
But what do the Spice Girls actually taste like? Commodore Smegma? Pasteurized McBathroom soap?
I know the 3DS doesn't have the horsepower to keep up with the GameCube, but boy does the heavy pixelation make this game look lousy.
So coming to, we stopped for some food on the way home because we're all starving. It should have been our breakfast, but ended up being our dinner, courtesy to my half-a-day-long procedure. Sure, I was freaking hungry, but I still had 4 gallons of ice water in my veins, so I had to drain the floodgates before sitting down.
Sure, the 3D makes it look loads better, but that doesn't change the fact that the Dark Moon itself is 24 polys.
You ever get salt and vinegar potato chips in a fresh wound and it just stings like heck? Well, imagine that, but instead you're fighting back a relentless stream of what feels like hydrochloric acid through your penis!
Instead of unique portrait ghosts, this game is just filled with smiley-faced goofy jelly beans. There's not even that many types, and you'll be dealing with the same bland booger muffins for the entire game.
The pain is so excruciating you can't even scream. Time and space melt away as you drift above your body and tap into the very fabric of the universe. You feel the centrifugal force of the earth beneath your feet gently lifting you up into the greater cosmos.
Luigi's Mansion was so amazing because it had so much personality, but the sequel feels like it was under a court mandate to be as expressionless as humanly possible.
Snapping back to reality, I came to the painful realization that I only managed to dribble a couple little drops.
The only surprise this game has in store for you is that there are actually 5 mansions you'll be exploring this time, but considering the game's no longer open to exploration, it adds up to absolutely nothing. Nintendo went and even blatantly spoiled this in their own trailer for the game, so I assume you already know that, and there are no surprises left for you in this goofy haunted house game.
I just wanna pee!
The story begins with Luigi just trying to take a nap when he is suddenly digitized, sucked in through his TV, reconstructed, and spat out in Professor Egaz's laboratory. This isn't some noble quest to save his brother, it's just blatant kidnapping.
So there I am washing my hands and I hear the door open and shut. Looking around, I don't see anybody. This isn't a big bathroom where I might just miss someone. There's literally 1 stall, 1 urinal, and a sink.
Professor Egad tells Luigi he needs his help because apparently King Boo shattered something called the Dark Moon, which caused all of the friendly Squishmallows working for him to go ballistic. You heard me right. The helpful ghosts turned evil because the Dark Moon got destroyed. I don't get it either.
Starting to question my own senses, I come to the realization that I still have to pee. So I scoot over to the urinal and fruitlessly give that lovely experience another go, when suddenly I hear the door open again behind me, and this time I check and see a man looking in at me before shutting the door without entering. And now I'm suddenly terrified.
Not sure why Egad enslaved an army of undead spirits after what happened last time he so much as tried to display them as portraits, but either way he pretty much forces Luigi to do his dirty work for him, capturing ghosts in 5 overrun haunted madhouses in hopes of restoring the fragments of the Dark Moon.
What does this guy want? There's clearly room for him to use the stall or wash his hands if he wanted. Why is he watching me like that? And why is he gonna keep checking in on me? It's not like there's any other way out of a Frisch's big boy bathroom stall. If you didn't see me leave through that door, I'm probably still in here!
Luckily enough, the Dark Moon fragments fit together again rather nicely when you find them, considering how low poly they are. Unluckily, each one is conveniently held by some sort of ghost that possesses something for you to fight, be it a giant spider, suits of armor, or the freaking background.
So I duck in the stall to try and get some privacy and relieve myself in peace. The door opens once again and shuts, so I poke my nose over the door, but I am still alone in the room. This guy wants something! So I start checking the stall for anything I might have missed. Is there a message written here somewhere for some secret gay meetup? Is there a glory hole in the walls? I have had enough penis thoughts for one day! Have mercy!
After collecting all the pointy rocks and battling ghosts in and out of our dimension, Luigi defeats King Boo and restores the Dark Moon and rescues Mario, because apparently he got captured again. I'm not joking, you find this out at the end of the game.
Trust me, stranger, you do not want my leaky goods right now, so go back to your crushed ice and onion rings before I run into this room with my pants down yelling, RAPIST!
Some of it's alright, but not a single track stuck with me, and no matter how long I played it, I couldn't hum along to it like the little green plumber wished I could.
Existence becomes ephemeral. The pain and paranoia drive me to nauseously transcend reality. There's a hobo creeping in on my only escape route, and I still can't pee!
You're listening to me, right?
So I give up on peeing and try to wash my hands. Who cares if I'm drugged up and in unimaginable penis pain? I'm not gonna let some child molester try to intimidate me. But then I feel something land on my shoes. With hands still soaked in the sink, I peer down between my legs and realized what just fell down was my underwear.
My favorite part of Luigi's Mansion was the interconnected Metroid madhouse, and though this destroys that aspect of the game, the creative puzzle solving to get around this Resident Evil mansion is still very much a mainstay of the series.
I look back up at myself in the mirror, realizing that when I rushed to get dressed at the hospital, I must have somehow missed both pant legs of my underwear and didn't notice through the anesthesia overdose until it was too late and they fell right through my pants. And it was at this very moment that I stared myself in the mirror dumbfounded, and the door behind me opened once again.
If you just played Luigi's Mansion 3 and wanted to know where Polterpup comes from, I guess you could play this, but honestly he just kind of shows up. And he's more of a nuisance than anything.
We lost lock eyes, both stunned. He looks at me, then down at my underwear and my feet, and then back up at me, and slowly closes the door. I jump back to the stall, frantically trying to dress myself when the door busts open again. Tangled in my own pants now, I'm naked from the waist down, and prepare my anus for the most uncomfortable interaction of my life. There's a bang on the stall door, and I flinch out of fear before hearing my dad call out, wondering how I'm doing, considering I'd apparently been in the bathroom for half an hour.
Is this what you expected for a Luigi's Mansion sequel?
And it turns out once we finally got home, we saw the bill that the lousy hospital had the audacity to charge us for 2 anesthesiologists, counting the prehistoric bag of bones, and the dude who literally signed the attendance sheet and went home.
Me either.
What are we talking about?
Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon.
Oh, right, yeah, that game kind of sucked. The positive gamer in me, I guess, gives Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon a spooky 4 out of 10. It wasn't bad, it was just disappointing in every regard, which sure sounds like it was bad, but it wasn't. Sort of.
The critical gamer in me understands the decisions behind designing Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon enough to give it a 6 out of 10. Though I disagree with most of them. It's passable, and much more palatable if played with others in its multiplayer scare scraper mode. I'd have talked about it more if someone else had been willing to play it with me.
Nah, my story was definitely more interesting. And in the end, I was left with thousands of dollars of hospital fees, and the doctors claimed they found absolutely nothing wrong, and quote, I guess some people just pee a lot. But enough about my dysfunctional wiener. What do you think? Let us know how your positive and critical sides rate Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, whatever it's actually called, in the comments below.
I hope you appreciated dealing with a constantly disjointed story interjecting what you came here for. But if you got this far and still don't realize that was the entire point of the video, then you're just playing with yourself.
Yes, that was all a true story, and it was horrible. The only thing that's not funny about it is how much money I still owe the hospital. But anyway, thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe for more, and be sure to use the links in the description to nominate your own episode. And thank you to all of our Patreon members, Aspen, Arrow, Crystal, Sid, Genio, Laura, and Squad Fam. He gets a special treatment, I guess, because I talk like this. You know it, buddy. See ya.